big worry about Bitcoin is the unfair distribution. Maybe there are statements that it is a pyramid scheme. Is it a pyramid scheme? Is there anything about the statement true or not?
Yeah, so there's the pyramid scheme, there's the Ponzi scheme discussion, right? And then you have the unfair distribution aspect to it. So where to start? So let's start at the Ponzi scheme, which is the strongest counter argument against Bitcoin. So a Ponzi scheme, what per definition is a system that gives you return out of the money investment by other peoples. Okay, so a pyramid scheme is slightly different. I'll come to that in a second. But in a Ponzi, you pay out with new investors' money, you pay out old investors. Is this the case when Bitcoin? No, because there's no direct flow to these existing or old investors, right? And then comes the pyramid scheme discussion. Okay, pyramid scheme is, you can think of a pyramid scheme when you build up on top on existing volume, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And the argument with Bitcoin is that we recently had interesting articles in some German newspapers related to that you pay out new investors coming into the market by selling your former Bitcoin. And by that, it is claimed that it must be a pyramid scheme. Because when you wouldn't have invested, then the price wouldn't be that high and there wouldn't be a benefit. And this is the core essence of a pyramid scheme. And the thing is, so the actual pyramid scheme is on a system that is not limited in amount, because there you have only in a system where it's unlimited, you have the opportunity to stack and stack on top of that. So only when you have an unlimited inflow of new currency, only then you have a real pyramid, right? Because in Bitcoin it's a different way. In Bitcoin it's limited. Yeah. And why it's also not true is you could apply the same argument, for instance, any type of stock, maybe whatever, a tech stock, you name it, right? The earlier you invest in this stock, when you have invested in 20 years ago in Microsoft or 10 years ago in Tesla, obviously these early stage investors had a benefit, a huge benefit. It profited massively. This answers your third question, right? Is it unfair? Yeah, to a point of view, when you earlier you are, the unfairer it is. But at the same time, when you're an early stock investor, same like an early Bitcoin investor, you have a higher risk, of course. 10 years ago, no one had an idea how Tesla stock would evolve. And when Microsoft was going public back then, no one had an idea of the massive growth we would have seen a couple of decades afterwards, right? And it's the same, obviously, with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is neither a pyramid scheme, nor is it unfair to be on that side. Literally, it's the saying of Bitcoin is to get the price you deserve, because if you're not ready to get your investment now, maybe you're ready at some point of time, and then obviously you have lower your risk, because there's obviously by now a higher price, but you have lowered a risk of, for instance, you could argue, okay, by now Bitcoin is more safe because it's more established now, and the earlier invested, the better your price was.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool. And there are people in the Bitcoin system that hold a significant amount of Bitcoin. Do they have any chance to? Are they going to dominate the system at some point, or what do you think about that?
Well, what I've done is to have I had a quick analysis because all public keys are public, hence the name. You can verify them, check them. You basically know each public key with decent holdings of Bitcoin. And when you count them and distribute them in certain categories, like the standard from whale to shrimp, like Bitcoiners would say. So from below 0.01 to more than 1,000 Bitcoins. So you see that, and if you exclude the pooling addresses are addresses that hold Bitcoin in third-party custody, or for instance, during the ETF adoption, you pool Bitcoin in one address, which is not, the holdings does not belong to one people particular, or one person, but instead they are pooling the funds for several people at the same time. And if you exclude these about 100, I think it's about 120 addresses that are pooled, if you exclude them, you get a distribution which is even better in terms of more equal than today's US dollar system. If you do the very same analogy with the US dollar system, the dollar is even more unfair distributed than Bitcoin is today, excluding the pooled addresses. But this is not the point. You also argue that Bitcoin is today not well distributed fashion. But the point is that the trajectory of Bitcoin distribution, due to its absolute scarcity, you can't create Bitcoin out of thin air, will distribute amongst people that will create value. It is impossible otherwise, for a very simple reason, because in the long run, you can't print money by debt. And this is how our traditional financial system, or monetary system, I have to say, is what works right now, right? So you create money out of thin air, then you buy a couple of like real estate, then with this, this is the rent-seeking aspect, you earn the rent. With this rent and this is additional collateral, you can actually buy more real estate. You lend further money, increase the circulation, the fiat currency in circulation, and you earn more rent. Then, you create more debt, buy new real estate, and this is actually the real pyramid scheme.
Pointing it down.